Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're so thankful to have you all here. It looks like we've got a full house today. I'm Thea Jordan, Program Director for the Idaho Women's Business Center. For those of you who do not know me, I know we've got people coming in from all over the place. We've got Janice in Los Angeles, Hangerman, Kuna, Nampa, Idaho. That's where I'm located at. But we're so excited to have you join us today. Anca and I think we were chatting at the Women of Excellence event, and we were talking about AI. I think ChatGPT was newly unveiled to the public, so to speak, at that time, and we were like, whoa, we've got to have a conversation about this because there is so much value and I guess efficiency in systems tied to the use of AI for your business. And knowing a lot of our clients at the WBC, we're bootstrapping, we're working on lean budgets, and we're trying to do it all. So today, Anca is going to share with us a variety of tools that we can leverage to streamline some of our business processes and, break the ice, so to speak, when it comes to different things that you might be experiencing writer's block or some delay in getting done. And so I know since we had this talk, everything's changed even beyond ChatGPT. There's hundreds probably of AI tools available now. And so today we're just going to talk about a few of those to kind of ease you all into this new technology. But with that, Anca, I'll go ahead and pass the mic to you.
Well, thank you so much. If if things will stay the same, where would be the fun in that, right? So yeah, I remember when we first started, like we were looking at Canva magic tools and be like, oh, those are amazing. And now it feels like it's old news. So with that, I'm gonna dive straight in. And let me tell you something. This is gonna be an interactive, hands-on type of conversation. I want to make sure that everybody sees the slides as well. So just drop in the chat, yay, make sure that that's the case. Good, awesome. And I'll keep an eye on the chat, but honestly, Tia will be here to support that as well. There's going to be a few prompts that she's going to drop in the chat. So pay attention to that because we've got homework, okay? So if you're here thinking that you're just going to like listen in, this is not the workshop for you. You're going to do some homework. We're going to learn some things. And because I'm a hands-on learner, I love to give myself things to do, new things to do that I get to learn by doing it. Okay, so all of that being said, let's start with the beginning. Welcome to this dynamic interactive workshop. My name is Anca Treefan. I'm the owner of Trifan Events, a local to the Treasure Valley production agency and a podcast host to Events Demystify podcast. Also into mental and physical fitness. If you have not joined that talk last month, you can go back and listen to that. It was quite well attended, and I think we can all use those tools. And with that, I have a confession to make. I will start by professing that I am a big believer in the power of AI and any latest technology that gives me the advantage that I need as a minority small business owner in a niche that in my case is pretty male dominated. But I'm also very apprehensive, especially when it comes to ethical and overall implications that this might mean for all of us. And I'm here to share with you some of the AI tools that I use on a daily in hope that it would be helpful to you too. And then leave it up to you to decide if these tools are for you or not. I will share a disclaimer a little later, as well as what some of those implications might be, so you're well informed. Today's workshop is not about solving the potential problem of AI hypothetically taking over the world. It's all about learning, sharing insights, and exploring best practices on how to successfully implement some of the AI tools into your own business. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or a brand new to the world of AI, I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible. This is intro into AI tools, okay? So if you're you're one of those seasoned veterans like me that started using AI the moment it came on the map back in November, actually it's been sort of on the map since 2020, but since it just became available to public use, then probably you might feel like this is not gonna teach you a whole lot of things. Maybe it will, I don't know, but that's the goal for this. And then if you want to dive deeper, we can talk about that later. So with all of that to say, I also want to make sure that you ask questions. So use that chat to drop your questions if you feel like you don't understand something, or you want clarification, or you feel like you want me to repeat something. I'm also probably going to speak pretty fast. There is the option to have transcription captions available. So if you feel like my accent is hard to understand, I won't take it personally. I am aware of it. So make sure you use those tools for yourself. Okay. Now that all of that is out of the way, let's jump into why should we care about AI tools? Well, first off, I am someone that when I first started my business, I basically bootstrapped my way into having a business, right? So I was doing everything. I am still sometimes feel like I'm doing too much and I need to maybe potentially delegate more. Adopting the AI tools that are available right now empowers your business, especially for us women entrepreneurs that many times we start, in a corner of our house that becomes our office, and then maybe we outgrow it and then we turn it into a bigger thing. But at first, maybe it started as a side hustle, or if you're a professional that works for another enterprise, you can still use those tools to do more for less, which in this case is much less, especially when it comes to marketing and other content creation options. And it also helps streamline operations and automate a lot of the tasks that otherwise you'd be doing. Only a small fraction of US adults, about actually 14%, are currently leveraging the potential AI tools like ChatGPT. And to me, that was so shocking and so surprising, because those tools can really double and triple your productivity. So embracing AI can really help your business growth and innovation. And honestly, in any type of technology, most of type of technology, early adopters will gain a distinctive edge, reaping most of the rewards by unlocking the type of benefits that some of those tools can provide. So with that being said, I personally love that AI tools can help enhance my efficiency, my precision, offer personalized customer experience. And this just adds such much value to my own business. AI-generated content is really tailored to your brand, especially if you care about having a brand that stands out. And you can really create goals and dive into what is the audience that you have and what are their interests, and just eliminate a lot of the guesswork that sometimes it just comes with this cluttered online world. So instead of struggling to maybe stand out, your business can use the AI tools that are available to just target your audience specifically, refine some of your marketing efforts, and confidently navigate the digital landscape. So today's call to action for all of you is to connect, collaborate, ask question, and learn how to harness the potential of AI. And that hopefully will lead to some significant time savings that you can allocate to either improve your client services, improve your products, or maybe just go and have some time for yourself, work out like I do. Actually, that's possible only because I can use some of the AI tools now. All right, in our time together today, we will go over some of the benefits of AI for businesses with specific examples. I will share those examples so you kind of have an idea why and how that would potentially apply to your own business. We're going to investigate the wide range that exists right now when it comes to AI, not just tools, but also plugins and extensions. We're going to actually do some homework, which means you're going to get prompts that you're going to work on and customize for yourself. And that means you're going to be hands-on. So you're going to get to the point where you're going to learn a few things. And I'm excited about that. And obviously ask questions in the process. And then we're going to try to leave some, time for not just doing that, the homework that I mentioned, but also ask questions. And I'll do a quick comparison, a light comparison, I would say, between the features and benefits of some of the most popular ones that I personally use, which is ChatGPT, Bard AI, Canvas, New Magic Tools. I know Tia has used Jasper for a while, so maybe she can speak to that a little later. And that will just give you that understanding to allow you to choose the right tool for your business, for yourself, based on your unique business needs. And by the end, my hope is that, you will have a sort of charted journey into what you're going to do next, how you're going to apply those tools. And I want to hear from you if they really, change the game for you. So all of that to say, I feel like there's such an untapped world of efficiency and engagement that's waiting for our business, for your business, for my business to harness. And this is just the beginning, as we're barely, tapping the surface. So without further ado, the future of business is here. And ChatGPT, it's 7-8 months old by now. And honestly, a lot of things have happened in the last 7 months, not just for business, but also in general in the world of technology, since it became available for people to implement and use. And there's so many options out there right now. I mean, there are daily updates on other tools and many tools that are coming just to optimize productivity and support your growth. AI-based productivity tools can really help us, especially women, gain that valuable time that we could allocate to our families. And I know I struggle with balance all the time when it comes to running a business, doing a lot of other projects on the side, and being part of some competitions that I'm also super passionate about, but also dedicate time to my children and my family. So having that competitive edge over the competition, knowing that I can do the work of 5 people in one, and honestly, I don't exaggerate when I say that, because people that know me, they know that I run 1,000 miles an hour all the time, and I don't necessarily know how to rest, but that's a conversation for another time, maybe for my other topic, mental and physical fitness. So let's embark on this journey together, and we'll figure out if this is for you. And if you have questions, drop them in the chat. And if you see me look in the chat on this side, is because that's where my windows are. So yeah. Okay, first off, before I actually get started, I want to just share something super rad with you, because this just came out. And honestly, when I had my own kids, we didn't have this. So just an example of how the transformation of 3D, 4D ultrasound images into this photorealistic images by AI are just astounding. And they express how much we've come into in the ways of technology. It's a testament to, honestly, the limitless potential of what this means, and a breakthrough of medicine, and just understanding how this interpretation of medical imaging has the potential to pave the way to a whole other myriad of applications beyond healthcare. What makes this incredible is how it showcases the ability of AI to grasp, interpret, and then recreate complex visual information with an accuracy that once just months ago was unimaginable. And it's a glowing example of how AI can really transform the way we perceive and interact with the world. Furthermore, it hints at a future where AI could revolutionize fields such, as design, entertainment, communication, by applying similar principles of transformation to various other inputs. So the possibilities are indeed endless. And just looking at that, 3D photo that I got from my ultrasound, I remember just thinking about just imagining what my baby would look like. And now that you can see it, I mean, it's fantastic. So that's just one simple example. I just got a little excited about it. I don't know why, because I'm way over having babies, but this was great. So with all of that being said, I'm going to dive deeper into benefits of AI for for business, because that's what we're here to talk about. And if you're a business owner like myself that wears all the hats many times, way too many hats, you have a good idea of how time consuming some of those tasks really are. Now, imagine having resources like ChatGPT, Bard AI, and I'll share a plethora of other AI extensions that I use on a daily, just to help you automate some of the routine tasks, like even responding to emails. Sometimes that can be like, a lot of time consuming that you could allocate to other things. And for me, the biggest thing is if I work so much in the business, that means I don't have time to work on the business. And that can be a problem, right? Because that means I'm not growing. So with all of that, you can do so much with those AI tools, and you can not only automate those repetitive tasks, as I was saying, you can have scheduling of appointments done automatically for you, which I have been using for quite a while, especially for my podcast. You can improve customer service and handle customer inquiries that, sometimes, especially complaints, when it comes to that, you're emotionally invested and it can be hard to be objective. So all of that can be done in a manner that is professional and also sets you apart. So I'm definitely super excited about it. So how can AI help your business? Obviously, it can generate high quality content, can speed up your content creation and engagement through even chatbots and personalized recommendations. It can provide valuable insights. And there's so much research and new markets to help you identify potential customers. And all of that is available at your fingerprints now if you know how to use it and how to prompt it to do the right search for you. And AI can also help connect with your business, especially if you have a target audience that you want to drive conversions, but you're not quite sure who that target audience is. It can help you establish, and we're going to run through a prompt that you can customize further after today's workshop, in which you can figure out like who is your target audience if that's a problem. Now that I have your attention, though, I want to also warn you that this initiative might give you an unfair advantage. And if you're not good with having an unfair advantage over your competition, maybe this workshop is not for you. But I bet all of you want to be ahead of the curve when it comes to running a business. So I assume that this won't be a problem. Now, two questions that I get asked quite often, especially if you're new at using AI tools, is especially particularly with ChatGPT, because it has been the first tool that came out in November of 2022. And people were just curious, like, how does ChatGPT know what it knows, right? So what does it stand for? Let's just start with that. ChatGPT stands for Chat Generative Pre-Training Transformer. Yes, it's a transformer. It's a model developed by OpenAI and is an iteration of the GPT, which stands for Generative Pre-Training Transformer model, that's specifically fine-tuned for human conversations. The chat part of its name indicates that this AI model is designed for generating conversational text. The GPT refers to the machine learning model that is based on. So we've had several models, I think GPT-1, GPT-2, this was 2020, 2021. And now we're working on the model of GPT 3.5 and 4 with alpha web browsing access to GPT-4 being available to a select few, the ones that have been into this for a while, and OpenAI decided to give them permission to use it. P, however, in GPT, as I said, stands in pre-trained. So what that means is that AI developed by OpenAI, it doesn't always fetch real-time information from the internet or external databases. Instead, it generates responses based on a mixture of licensed data that is created by human trainers and publicly available, but also the answers that it generates is based on patterns and information of data that it was trained on. This includes a wide range of sources, including textbooks, websites, and other educational materials, but also what you teach it, okay? So what that means is that it's going to learn with you. Like if you're going to feed it a lot of topics, like if myself, diversity in AV, women in AV, mental and physical health, it's going to learn a lot of things of what I care about. And a lot of the content that is going to produce for me is going to be biased to what I give it, right? So it's based on what I train it on. So while it strives to provide accurate and timely information, it doesn't have the ability to access or retrieve personal data unless it has been shared with it in the course of your interaction with the model or your conversation with it. So it's designed technically to respect user privacy and confidentiality, which is important. But another thing that's important to note here is that while it aims for accuracy, it does not have the capability to independently verify some of the information and check if it's up to date, and it should not be used as the sole source of information for critical decisions. So that's something that's super important, a disclaimer that I'm going to make a little later, because you cannot rely fully on it to give you accurate information, and you might want to do your fact checking yourself. Another question that I get asked is, what if there is no matching data in the training database or data set to what I am trying to do, right? So AI will be predicting the next best word in that case, but the content will sometimes be made up. So yes, it will be made up. So what that means for businesses that are using it, you really need to be aware of that, because if you're going to use it into your operations, it's obviously crucial to exercise caution and verify information independently and implement proper fact-checking processes to avoid potential pitfalls. While AI can definitely be a valuable tool, it's important to remember that those systems lack the ability to distinguish fact from fiction. And what's interesting about that is that just recently, actually this week or last week, came out the story about, and that's a word of caution, about a radio host that ends up suing OpenAI and ChatGPT. And the reason why he was suing OpenAI is because basically, it's a defamation lawsuit due to false information generated by the AI system. The radio host is Mark Walters, from what I could gather, and he's suing OpenAI for wrongly stating that Walters had defrauded and embezzled funds from a nonprofit organization, and this case study only highlights the issue of AI systems like ChatGPT, which can generate inaccurate information that can potentially really harm individuals. So why should we care about that? Because this only serves as a reminder that blindly trusting AI-generated data without any verification can really lead to not just reputational damage, but legal complications and false accusations. So as business increasingly start using AI into their operations, it is very, very, very important to exercise caution, verify information, and implement proper fact-checking, as I just mentioned. Okay. So when it comes to Bard AI, because those are the two that I would go in between, and if I ask ChatGPT to give me, some answer for a topic, then I would also fact check it with Bard AI, and there's also Bing AI now, and just make sure that all of it sounds cohesive and it doesn't contradict. Bard, on the other hand, because is made by Google, it gets its information from a few various other sources, including the Google search, also, which obviously is a huge database of information that can be accessed by anyone to just answer questions, but also the real world. So what that means is that it can access and process information from the real world through the Google search, and that includes information from news articles, scientific journals, and other sources, and then has its own knowledge and understanding. And what that means is that it's constantly learning and growing, and is able to use its own knowledge to answer your questions in a comprehensive manner based on the information that it has gathered. So it's still under development, obviously, but it's learning every single day. I remember when I first started using it in comparison with ChatGPT just a few months ago. I mean, I'm talking about 4 months ago. Bard AI was way behind ChatGPT, but in the last few months, it's been catching up fast. Okay, so there's definitely like a lot of obviously pressure from Google to make it the best AI option out there. So I'm sure they're putting a lot of money into that. Now, one of the examples that I was going to give here, like for example, if you ask Bard AI, you know, about maybe a current event or a scientific concept, it will first use Google search to find the most recent news and relevant articles on that topic, or maybe scientific papers. And then it will go and based on its own understanding of the concept and based on what it's learned so far, it's going to give you an answer to the question. And obviously, it's always improving and working to provide accurate and helpful information, but it's something that needs to be kept in mind. It's learning, okay? So it's not the end be all. Okay, so with that, we need to be aware that there is, I feel like I might have skipped. Okay, maybe I skipped. I definitely skipped a slide when I was working on this super fast and furious this morning. But some of the implications, that ethical implications, especially when it comes to small and large businesses alike, it's related to privacy and data security, transparency, and as well as biases and discrimination. And I had actually a really informing conversation with someone a little earlier in the month, and a person of color, and they were making the point of how important it is for example, for a minority to start using it so they can teach it specific things related to biases and discrimination and minority related issues. And that is something that I was like, wow, yeah, you're right. I mean, if I'm going to give it information based on my perception of the world, that will make that available to everyone, so that in a world that sometimes it feels like is very white dominated, male dominated, as women, almost like we have we have, our job is to make sure that some of the information that it gets also relates to our own advocacy on whatever that might be. So just keep those things in mind, that there's a lot of things that there's implications related to AI. There's a lot of conversation around those implications. And obviously those ethical considerations can vary by region due to differences in law, societal norms, and also cultural values. So I guess my advice to you as a small business owner, to myself and others, is to continue to stay ahead of the latest discussions in this space, in order to be able to take some of these considerations into the account yourself. Okay, now that all of that is out of the way, here's an overview of how a small business owner can take advantage of AI tools such as ChatGPT, Bard AI, Jasper AI, even Canva, and a plethora of Chrome, Edge, and Bing extensions or plugins that I'm going to unveil a little later today. And in this example, I'll give you the overall, like, for example, in this specific slide, I'm talking about how it can really support your customer service by implementing some of the AI chatbots that you can set up into your website. I'm actually using one that is connected to WhatsApp right now, and I'm still like fiddling with it and trying to see if that's the best option for my own website. And I'm again constantly looking at new options and learning and experimenting. But one thing about the chatbots is that they're available 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And I can't personally afford to pay someone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Probably would be illegal to make someone work that long. So that's one benefit. Like, you have someone around the clock that, regardless of the time zone, they can actually answer questions, and also process in a natural language, and those abilities are actually growing as we speak, and handle customer inquiries and complaints efficiently. As I mentioned earlier, it can integrate into chatbots or virtual assistants for faster customer service, as they can accurately track and analyze some of the customer behavior that you might not even be aware of. And obviously can automate some of the customer service tasks and appointment scheduling. So an example here, let's say that, for example, Sarah, we'll take Sarah, who owns a small boutique. She can use AI-based chatbots to handle customer inquiries. For instance, a chatbot could answer common questions about the store hours, return policies, product availability, allowing Sarah now to focus on other aspects of her business instead of having to be on the phone all the time or emailing or whatever, where she was answering those questions. Now, Nelly, I see your question. I will go over that a little later in our show and tell, because I have a few examples that that might actually answer your question. All right, content creation and marketing. I mean, think about, you know, having a personal assistant write content for you in your own voice. Okay. Before ChatGPT, let me tell you, I've actually gone through quite a few assistants because I am huge on content creation. I write blogs, I write LinkedIn posts, I produce this podcast that is heavily content-based, and coming up with content ideas and things that actually make sense and are interesting to people. It was almost like a full-time job. So I needed support. Unfortunately, what I was struggling the most with was finding someone that could actually speak in my own voice, someone that would understand what I'm trying to say and say it in my own voice. And let me tell you, like about 10, virtual assistants later, I'm like, I can't find anyone. Like I have a specific voice. I'm sometimes witty. I'm sometimes, feisty. And like, they can't replicate that. So for me, this was a game changer, because here we are having the ability to not just generate high quality content, that could include everything from product description, social media posts, blog articles, but doing it in a personalized manner that sounds like me and writes like me. And that I will prompt you to teach it yourself so that you can use it as a tool that you can implement today, because that has been a game changer. And of course, there's a lot of advanced tools out there. Like, for example, Lex is a free tool that you can use for content writing and generation. Jasper is another tool. It's paid. I think it has a free trial of, 2 weeks. Even with ChatGPT, you can do a great job, but it will require a little bit of you, prompting it to do certain things for you based on your content, based on your writing style, based on some of the things that you've already done. So you can't just be like, okay, write this amazing blog post without giving it prior information, because like I said, it is pre-trained. So it needs to learn first. It's just like a baby. Like you can't send it off like, hey, go ahead and walk now, and it's never taken a step. So with that, not only you can do all those fun things, that takes care of your social media strategy, and I'm going to have a prompt later for that as well, but it can do personalized campaigns, marketing campaigns, and do a true analysis of your customer interactions and generate ideas for, okay, what products actually might work best for us to promote during this season. And it can do SEO optimization. And if you have a website, you probably know the headache that it takes to do SEO on that website just to be able to, show somewhere on Google. I mean, we're not even talking about first page unless you're throwing, thousands of dollars into that. So all of those tools can significantly enhance your content and marketing strategy, and analyze what's happening on the website, and provide you the insights and even relevant keywords, maybe ideal content length, readability, backlink opportunities, and other factors that can really improve, that content's SEO. So in this example, as I was thinking of this, obviously, I can give plenty from my business, but I was talking to a fitness instructor, and Kate, and she was using Jasper and ChatGPT to generate content for her blog and her social media posts. And a lot of that content was related to obviously workout tips, healthy recipes, motivational posts, but she could also analyze how her customers and clients were interacting online with that content, and tailor then her marketing messages based on that behavior. So that's a big deal, you know, knowing that you speak to the right audience and you speak in the right tone and you give them the right information. Okay, the next one that is big here is, yeah, thank you, Tia, for putting that into the chat. So SEO stands for search engine optimization, which is very important for websites, because that's how they show on Google searches and other places. So if you don't have a good SEO strategy for your website, most likely nobody's going to find it. So that's why there's so much money thrown into that. Now you can do it yourself with ChatGPT if you really wanted to. All right. Another thing that's super important that I care about is data analysis and decision making, because a lot of the decision making that I'm making, obviously, I just repeated myself, is based on that data. So you can use AI then to conduct market research, analyze data, make better decisions about your marketing, sales, and operation strategies. You have the ability to analyze, again, like I said, customer behavior and patterns, and maybe industry trends for a more informed decision making. And you can even use predictive analytics with some of the tools that are available, which can take past data to make predictions about future trends. And for example, an AI tool could analyze your past sales data to predict what your future sales patterns might be, or it could use customer behavior data to predict your future purchasing behavior if you sell a product. And this type of predictive analysis can really be invaluable for forecasting and for strategy planning, because as we know, we are very interested to know how will our business grow, or what are some of the opportunities that might not be easily available, or might not be easily trackable. So data is what gives you, but having the ability to analyze that data is basically doing the homework for you. And there's another opportunity here when it comes to analyzing customer feedback and maybe social media comments to gauge the type of public sentiment that your brand, your product, or your service might put out there. And this process, which is known actually as sentiment analysis, it really involves a lot of AI algorithms that will identify and extract a very subjective information from source materials that you have created, like your website, and it can help you understand how your business is perceived, and can inform some of your decision-making around marketing strategies, product development, customer service, and all of that. So think of, like, for example, Maria, who maybe runs a small marketing agency. She could use those tools to analyze the maybe effectiveness of her clients' advertising campaigns. And these tools could really provide her insight into what some of the customer behavior is, and what are some of the performances of those campaigns, and help her make data-driven decisions and improve her clients' return on investment by giving them specific strategies. All right, another way that it can really help your business is expansion and growth, and that gives you the ability to maybe, like, say you have a website that you'd want to translate it in multiple languages because you want to I don't know, start selling products internationally. There is AI tools that can do that for you, and you don't have to pay thousands of dollars for some website developer to, go word by word on your website and translate it. It can research new markets and identify potential customers, helping businesses really expand their reach. It can scale and be providing you some really flexible opportunities. And that goes a little bit advanced into more of the cloud services that are available right now, like Amazon and Azure, which allows businesses to scale resources up and down, per demand, and without having the need to invest into a lot of hardware, and that we're talking about computers or who knows, video production and a lot of things that I personally care about. So with all of that, AI will really identify, the type of tools that can take all the data points in your business and then predict specific outcomes based on where you're at and based on your marketing campaigns, demographics, characteristics, and all the things that really drive your business. So in this example, just to keep it simple, let's say that Jane, she operates a skincare brand. It's online, but she wants to expand her business internationally. She can use AI tools to translate her website, as I said, and the product descriptions into various languages, enabling her to reach customers in new markets, and also can give her a really good feedback of what parts of the world purchase from her and what quantities, and inform her decisions in the future and what type of marketing she should be investing in if she wants to grow in those specific areas. All right. There's also, the ability to look at cost efficiency and operations models, because not only can you now automate tasks like managing inventory, saving time and money, but you can also look at using intelligent automation for processes beyond just the simple task. It can automate complex processes that typically require human intelligence. For example, AI could handle a process like maybe a supplier negotiation or invoice management or even tax preparation. There's the ability to do predictive maintenance, especially for equipment or systems that you constantly have to do maintenance on, so that it allows for that maintenance to be conducted before, maybe a costly breakdown occurs. In this example, I was thinking like of someone, a business owner, Alice, say that she might be running a small e-commerce store, and she can use AI tools to automate her inventory management, predict when she'll need to restock based on sales trends. And this could also help her avoid overstocking and reduce some of the storage costs that go with that. All right, all of that now out of the way, on to the good stuff. And this is where we are going to get our hands busy. Before we take all of the examples that I mentioned, some of the examples that I mentioned, because we can't go over all of them, before we take them practically, and I give you a rundown of what a good prompt is, I have an assignment for you, and Tia just put it in the chat. And that requires you to be a hands-on learner. So I recommend that if you really want to get the best out of this, do get engaged with the opportunity to learn and do it as we go. So that means open Chrome or Edge or even Bing, if those are the browsers that you use, and open 2 new tabs. And in one of the tabs, you're going to put chat.openai.com, and there is the link in the chat. Now, the options there are either to sign up or sign in. If you have used it before, you're going to sign in. And if you have not, you might need to sign up. Now, word of caution, ChatGPT sometimes does put, it puts a limit on the number of people that are using it on the free version of the model. I use the paid version, which is like $20 a month. Really, I get my money back on that, just on marketing efforts and strategy that then you have access to it without any interruption of service. Bard AI, on the other hand, is fully free, and you can just use it, sign in with your Gmail account, Google account, and you can use it for free. I don't think they have any plans to put a price on it. Who knows? I mean, it's Google. They sometimes come up with products and then they discontinue them. So I would open both of those so we can do a comparison testing, and then you can decide for yourself which one is, which one do you like most? So that's the homework for you. And while you do all of that, because it requires you to get on the, on the browser and do that, I will take a moment to explain what a good prompt is, because we're going to talk about AI prompts a whole lot. So a good writing prompt should provide a very clear and concise instruction to inspire and guide, which in our case is guide the AI tool. While the specific elements to include may vary depending on the intended purpose and maybe the audience, there are a few essential components to consider. One of them is topic or theme. The prompt should establish a central topic or a theme that you as a writer can explore. This could be a broad subject, or it could be a very specific concept, depending on the desired focus of the content writing. Tone and voice, and the prompt should indicate the desired tone or voice for the piece. This could be formal, informal, persuasive, narrative, descriptive. My favorites, witty, make it chatty, make it personal, make it friendly. Sometimes make it feisty. So it depends on the purpose of the writing content and the intended audience. As a person, I am a pretty feisty person, so obviously my content sounds like me, so it has to sound like me. Then we're looking at genre, like what type of specific genre or style of writing are you expecting to get back? It could be a short story, maybe a poem. I don't know, maybe you want ChatGPT to write poems for you, an essay, maybe it could even be a argumentative paper that you have to write, or a piece of, a piece of paper that you're like, okay, I want to create this argument and see what it says. It can be a letter, dialogue, obviously, blog posts, articles, or any other form of a written expression. Clear general instruction really helps to guide the AI tool in its approach and structure of what should be the outcome. Then there's the context or setting. So providing a context and a setting will help establish the backdrop for the writing. This could be a specific time period, location, scenario, situation, circumstance that influences the content and the direction of that specific piece. And all of this is important, especially if you're thinking to use it for content creation for your specific business, to create content related to your product, related to your service, that puts you as an authority in that specific niche. Then we have key elements or requirements that basically have to do with outlining any specific elements, characters, requirements that should be incorporated into the specific content. For example, maybe you want a particular service or a product, or if you're writing for the sake of writing, you want specific character, or you just want the inclusion of certain techniques, devices, processes, whatever it is that might be. Then you have to have a purpose or a goal. Clearly stating the purpose or the goal of the content writing piece is very important, because it could, it could be used to either entertain, persuade, inform. It could also, use for cold direct messaging, and we're going to have a prompt for that a little later, because who loves to write cold DMs, right? And it could also evoke emotion, explore a particular idea, teach you things. So understanding the intended outcome can really help AI craft the piece accordingly. And then maybe you should have a word limit or a length. Without specifying that, you kind of leave it up, to the AI tool to decide how long that content might be. I'm very specific with the word limit and length of the content that I create. So I would give a specific either word limit, characters that it should outcome, or maybe a specific length of how many paragraphs. But it really gives you this boundary of a constraint to help you get the type of outcome that you're looking for based on your expectations. And then additionally, obviously, you can give it all kinds of instructions and constraints. And if there's specific formatting guidelines, or maybe specific constraints, boundaries, additional instructions, just give it into the prompt. And that could include referencing specific sources, or maybe stay within a specific structure, or maybe incorporate a particular, symbol, theme, or whatever. Anyway, all of this really helps it guide so that it gives you the best response it can give you, so that if you're going to get what you want from what you ask, then it's based on specific components of the prompt that actually make a lot of sense to just give you a focused, engaging piece of writing, whatever that might be. All right, so I hope that by now we have you all completed the assignment of opening the browsers, the tabs. Can you drop into the chat either an emoji or a yay or a nay, or if you're struggling, or if you have questions, or if you're like, I just want to relax, like whatever it is that you're at, because obviously I'm just hoping and assuming that you want to be as interactive and want to learn as much as possible since you were putting time into this. So with that being said, we're going to get into our first prompt, and we are going to make AI sound like your voice, because we all have a unique voice. And I don't just mean the timbre, you know, the accent, but also the tone of it. So before we begin, we really need to train the AI model, especially if you're using ChatGPT, the instructions to perfectly analyze your writing style. And I have a more elaborate, actually, language detective prompt that I use for myself, because again, I'm heavy on content writing and I really wanted to detect my voice and in a way that really represents myself. So if you're interested in that, because you're maybe a content writer yourself and write a lot, like I tend to do, please contact me later, either via DM or email, and I will have, you know, the contact information at the end, and I can share that with you. But for the purpose of keeping this as simple as we can, we're going to feed both ChatGPT and Bard AI these two prompts, just for you to get an understanding of what each one does and which tool gives you the best response. And the prompt is, okay, I see what you're saying. I never get the free ChatGPT to work, Trista. I haven't used free ChatGPT in a little while myself either. So I'm not sure if it's today, right now, in this moment in time, available or not. Go on, use Bard AI, and then you can also go to Bing. I'm not sure if you have the Bing browser. That's Microsoft AI that they just came up with, and they have a Bing chat AI, and that's part of the Microsoft suite of AI tools that they came up with. So maybe you can do the comparison between Bard AI and Bing in this case. So with all of that, what we're going to do is we're also going to need a sample of something that you actually have written. So I'm not going to give you that sample because that would be in my voice. So you have to go in an email, maybe a newsletter, or maybe a social media post, a LinkedIn, a blog post, whatever it is that you wrote recently, maybe even a text to your daughter or your spouse. I don't know. Anything that you wrote, copy and paste, and you're going to put it in where it says insert your text. So Tia, put in the chat right now, analyze the text below for style, voice, and tone. Create a prompt to write a new paragraph in the same style, voice, and tone. And then where it says insert your text, that's where you put your content. Now it's, I would say that it's really, good to and recommended to potentially give it maybe 4 samples of your content. So like maybe there is an email that you wrote, maybe there is a blog post, or maybe a LinkedIn post that you wrote, maybe there is a social media post, maybe there's a Facebook post, maybe there's a text, whatever it is that you wrote, that it has different nuances, and it can give it more information as to the type of voice that you have when you write to different people and different circumstances and different instances. So it's important to have that range of writing samples so that it can create a pretty good understanding of your specific voice. And like I said, you know, you can use ChatGPT. I don't know, does everybody have access to the free ChatGPT, or is just Trista not being able to use it right now? I'm just curious if you, okay. So that I know if I should insist on that with that. Okay, perfect. And Bard AI, again, like I said, it's free. Microsoft Bing AI Chat, which is the Bing AI search option of Microsoft. And to be fully honest, I don't really use Bing AI a lot because I feel like right now it's a little behind. So I'm not really investing a whole lot of time in feeding it a whole lot of information. So if you did that, I can't see you, but I'm assuming that that's what you're doing right now. You took the prompt from the chat, you copy and pasted into ChatGPT and Bard AI, and you gave it a little bit of content. And I'm going to show you here something that I did in an example. And I did this example. Let me see, what does it look like? Sorry that Loom has, I recorded this with Loom, and it just loves to put a lot of stuff on the screen. And I honestly didn't have a lot of time to clean it up. I usually like to clean things up, but this was not going to be the time. So what I did here, you're going to see actually that I'm using another tool that you might not have if you're looking at your own ChatGPT, and that is Prompt Genius. And I will talk a little bit about that later, because it's a plugin that you can use to actually not just schedule, but customize your prompts, especially if you're going to reuse them a whole lot. So I use Prompt Genius to basically pre-create certain prompts I can use and reuse on a daily basis. Now, I'm not saying that you should analyze your writing style daily. That's not what I'm saying. This is just to create a content type of prompts that maybe you use a whole lot, just a bucket, basically, like a way to organize your prompts. And I love to organize things, so for me that obviously is important. So that was just my example of like feeding it some content, and let's see if I can run it again, and learn my own voice. And Roy put a tool in the free resource in the chat. Would you give a description, Roy, with that? It is a little bit blurry, I hear. Let me see. Oh, I'm seeing it on my other computer. I think Zoom is throttling that down. Anyway, it's not like you need to see what I wrote, because that's my voice, but it's just to give you a sort of like a description of what you should be doing with that specific prompt. And yeah, I don't want you to know what I wrote there. Just kidding. Okay. So the next prompt, which is going to be just as useful, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the first one, is where you want to help and make ChatGPT and Bard AI write in your own style, maybe even replicate somebody else's writing style, their tone and voice. And that is another prompt that we're going to be using here, because ChatGPT actually is pretty good at understanding tone and can then write in that specific style. But to get the tone right, we need to combine the tone analyzer prompt and the prompt from this post to make ChatGPT really write like you. So try this prompt for yourself, and Tia just put it in the chat. And this is where you actually need to give it a little bit of information. Okay, so like, for example, where it says that the extract, that is basically the text that you're going to put in there, and then you're going to ask it to analyze that tone and rewrite that specific text in so that it can give you a more concise, informative, whatever type of tone you want to use for that piece of content. And you can try this both in ChatGPT and Bard AI if you're running both concurrently, just to get comparison of how this might be interpreted and seen by each model. I see which one you like best. And I use that. Let me see if I have an example of that. And again, I apologize if it feels like it's a little blurry, but basically, yeah, I did the same with the same text that I used a little earlier, but this time I asked it to analyze that same tone and then rewrite the content, and that's what it did. And I think this is a longer. You will notice that ChatGPT takes a little bit of a sweet time to write it and you see it as it does. Actually, it's kind of fascinating to just look at that. But then Bard AI will just like, you know, take a moment, think about it, research, whatever, do its own analysis, and then spit out the content all at once. I kind of like ChatGPT just to look at it like and read the words as they come on the screen. I know it's a little addictive, but that's basically what it did here. It gave me a good idea of, yeah, and I'm sorry you guys can't see it. It's funny because on my screen here, I can see just fine. But then when I look at it through the Zoom audience account that I have on this other side, it's hard to see. So I know the content is clear and crisp, but Zoom is probably because it's not optimized. I'm wondering if it's because it's not optimized for video. Did we press that when we actually share screen? That's a good question. Allison, that is the purpose of this, and make sure that you also do the tone analyzer, because it does have to read its tone. So Allison was asking, now that I gave it for examples, will it now write in my voice? And based on the prompt that you're going to give it, it should do that. And now here's the Bard AI example, and I did exactly the same thing here. And what did it do? Let's see. Yeah, basically I sit on it for a second, and then it gave me this whole rewrite. I felt like Bard wasn't as comprehensive or as in detail as ChatGPT. Like even the text itself was not was shorter, was not as concise, and maybe it was a little bit more concise, but just much shorter than what I was maybe expecting. Okay. So with that being said, now assuming that you've done the 2 prompts to have ChatGPT or Bard AI know your voice, but also write in your voice, our homework prompt is one that we all love to do, which is maybe write or script a cold call or DM cold call, right? It's like probably nobody likes to do that. I know that I don't. So instead of like, you know, sitting on it and trying to come up with just the right words, I love to just experiment with this. And the keyword there is experiment, because I might be happy with some of the stuff. I might actually just take it as a starter point and then work my way from there, or I might just discard it altogether because it might sound like way too cheesy. And I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm sending that. So this is where you have to make it specific to your product, your service, your ideal customer persona. So whatever it is that that might be. And I'm going to run through this example a little faster, because I would just take those all of those prompts that Tia is putting in the chat and maybe copy and paste them on a Word document, notes document, whatever it is, so you can play with them later, because we are, you know, running a little bit out of time, and I don't want to spend all my time on just on this alone. So that was the example where I ran that through. And again, I created a Prompt Genius prompter for myself with that. So all I did was just recall that and then ask it to give me an output. And I don't know if necessarily I was extremely happy with that output, but it was there. And then I could work my way from there to customize it some more. I love that it uses so many emojis. Apparently now it's okay to use emojis for business. Then the next one was using it, the same prompt, but running it through a Bard AI. And I think in this example, as I was waiting for it to promote, I think it gave me, Bard AI, I felt like it gave me a more usable cold DM option versus what ChatGPT did in this example. So again, make sure that you do your own comparison and then make an informed decision. The next prompt has to do with, this is amazing if you run a social media channel or many channels like I do. And I will take this again, copy and paste and save it for later as well. So you can use it on a weekly basis. So like, for example, I use this to create my content strategy for the week, or maybe if you want to do it for the month, whatever it is, the time period that you want to insert it in there. Also make sure that you put a target audience, like who your audience is, and maybe the content type that it speaks to your audience. So like, for example, for myself, I put, event planners, meeting planners, event professionals, and a bunch of, audiovisual production, planning, strategy, design, and execution type of audience, targeted audience. And then the content type was, okay, I'm looking for maybe best practices, or maybe production tips, or maybe budget saving tips, or maybe strategy for finding the right partners, or maybe the benefit of hiring this, production whatever company. And then the goal was, my goal was attract more followers, build authority and trust. So you're obviously gonna customize that for your own need. And I did that. And in this example, I was running it. Again, I had a social media content strategy, which again, it's great to use it with Prompt Genius, because now I just go back on a weekly or a whatever by monthly basis. And I get a whole range of content ideas that my mommy sleep-deprived brain does not have to come up with. And let me tell you, that's been such a time saver for myself. I mean, if I could pay ChatGPT, which I already do, $20 a month, that's not a lot of money, but I would totally send it a gift and be like, thank you for giving me all this content ideas that now I can write about without me having to pull my hair early in the morning when I do my writing, because it feels like it takes me forever. So there's gonna be, like, if I'm gonna skip ahead, you're gonna see that it gives you very, very specific times and the content that you're going to create, but it doesn't write the content for you. This is where you have to do the next step if you wanted to give it some content specific to that. And then you can, again, I never just ask it to write a full brand new blog piece without me giving it very specific information and prompts, as we talked about earlier, because I want that to be usable. Like, I want that to be, something that it's relevant for my audience and my business. So that's run through Bard AI. Okay, so the last one, this is actually a very well thought out pricing strategy model that you can use to do a bit of a customer analysis and maybe get some pricing tactics and a value proposition based on your specific product. Now, I won't be doing this right now because this really takes a bit of time for you to dive into your product, into your product features, and maybe what is it, the outcome that you want it to do. But I would copy and paste and play with this later so that you can see if you can come up with a specific pricing model based on the services that you provide that is usable for you. So just copy and paste, and then we can go from there. And there's a range of other prompts that I use many times a week, which have to do with maybe I need a summary for an article that I just don't have the time to read. And Tia's is just going to drop them into the chat. You can copy and paste, and then you can sort through them and then use them as you might see fit. Especially the edit my work prompt, I use it a whole lot because, again, if I write a piece of content, blog, article, whatever it might be, or the product description, or maybe I create a brand new page on my website. I wanted to review my work and edit it and make sure that it sounds based on the tone that I wanted to give or specifics that, again, I prompted to do. Other prompts here would be related to style changing, maybe learn from your mistakes. This is a good one. Let's say you're practicing a new skill and you just wanted to get a grasp of what went wrong and how can you avoid to make that mistake in the future. And then brainstorming ideas. I love this one as well, because, you know, sometimes you're like, okay, so I have this meeting coming up and we're going to brainstorm, and I'm like, you know, dry. So let's see what can come out of that one specific prompt. Okay. Now, I'm going to get into the next part of this really quick, and that is ChatGPT has been dethroned. Since we last talked, yes, it's true. I mean, we just spent so much time talking about ChatGPT, and you're like, what? What's this? Honestly, yes, I still use it on a daily, but a whole lot of AI tools that I use even more so are already embedded into the web browser that I'm using on a daily basis. And that is part of this AI extension plugins that I alluded to earlier, that leverages AI to perform certain tasks and provide specific functionality. What are those extensions good for? You know, it can definitely be the writing assistant, and I'm going to give you a few examples of what I use for that. But it also can, you know, help with correcting grammar. I'm sure you've been using Grammarly by now quite heavily. If you have not, maybe, you know, you should. Also, it looks at style, tone, and even help complete sentences and paragraphs. And I have one tool that I use here that I'm going to share with you, because it can provide email assistance. But one of the coolest things for me is I have a hard time with, you know, maybe saying no to emails. So this tool, oh God, it's like it's been a game changer for me. So what's good about those extensions, they're not really software that you need to, you know, install. They just attach to your browser. You do have to give them some permission. So you have to review privacy policy and the permissions that you need to give it within the Chrome in order for Chrome to use it. Okay, so some of the plugins, AI plugins that I use on a daily. The first one is Compose AI. And this is what has actually helped me maybe cut 40% of my time by responding to emails every single day. Instead, I'm just using Compose AI, and it's quite brilliant once, you know, you start giving it all this text that you're going to feed so that it reads your voice and then understands your tone. And it can really save you countless of hours of just emails alone and writing tasks. And in my example here, I actually, again, it might be hard to see, but basically I constantly get all of those marketing emails, and I have a hard time with just discarding them. So right now, all I have to do is literally press say no, and Compose AI is going to write this very polite no response, how I don't really need that service. And what's cool about that is that it's objective. So me saying no sometimes can be emotionally based, and it might not come across that pleasant. Removing myself from saying no just means that I don't have to be emotionally involved with the response. And especially for somebody that really, really annoys me and sends me a million emails, even after I block them, because they just found all the emails that I have, that is saving me a lot of not just time, but also mental space, so I don't have to worry about that specific problem anymore. If you go and search for Compose AI, you just install it into your browser, into your Chrome browser, if that's what you use, or Edge, and it will automatically show in whatever mailing system that you use. I use Gmail. Grammarly, again, is another a good one to have. Very similar to Grammarly is WordTune Read, also Reply.io. And a lot of those examples you can just screenshot because they're actually free to use. And you might want to check out which one is best for your specific need. And I mentioned ChatGPT Prompt Genius, which is, again, what I use just to create some of those prompts. Another very important ones that those are super cool is Read AI, Pace AI, and I'm going to go over Read AI and Pace AI really quick. And also for my podcast. And that's something that honestly, I'm going to have to create a brand new, different, separate workshop about, because there's so much when it comes to AI tools for creatives. And those are the ones that I use for a few podcasts that I produce. But there's so much more to dive into this, and it's outside of our time together here. So really quick on the one that I was going to share, Read AI meeting. So here's what's cool about this. You all probably many of you know 𝗵𝗽𝗀𝗽𝗀, and I signed up for a few of her workshops, but I couldn't make it because one time I was in Europe, the next time I was on an airplane, and the third time I was, I don't know, tending to my kids' school for something. But the cool thing was, because I had this tool, Read AI, it literally tapped into the Zoom meeting for me while I wasn't even there. And then it sent me a summary, and not just a summary, but I literally, like, if you go here, you're going to go into the profile. It's just going to give you a lot of information and bullet points of what was discussed, action items, who was engaged, who wasn't engaged. I mean, it's a whole, almost like you're getting a grade on your Zoom meeting. And I'm going to have one for this Zoom meeting too. And probably is going to say that I talked 100% of the time. And it really says like, okay, you talk this much. Maybe next time don't talk so much. So that's one of the super cool ones to potentially implement if you don't want to join all the Zoom meetings that you are assigned to, and then still get the meeting notes. Then the next one, this is super cool for business, and it's called Pace AI. And this is something that it can create a product strategy. It can give you a roadmap. It can give you a very specific product description and features that you just give it a prompt, and then it can create the feature. And it's say you just start a new business and you need to create a lot of content around it, including the vision and the mission and the strategy of how you're going to maybe get funding for that business. This is a great tool to use. So I didn't even dive more than maybe 15% into its power, but I'm super excited to learn more about it. And I just wanted to bring it to your attention. And then the next one that I use a whole lot, especially with my video content, is Gloss AI. And this is where it literally creates a bunch of snippets of your content. And then not only that, it creates those snippets of about 30 to 50 seconds long, but it also gives you the text attached to it. So you can just copy and paste and put it on different platforms. How easy is that? I mean, imagine before I actually paid 3 people to do this. We're not going to go into, how AI is stealing jobs from people, but really now I could actually give some specific text to those people to do other things versus just, do some simple social media content creation, which this takes care of it now, including transcribing and giving me a few options to even customize that. Okay. And then I think the last one that I was going to mention here is Swell AI, which goes hand in hand with a lot of the content that I have a whole lot of videos, especially on YouTube. And it gives me transcription. It also gives me the direct transcription from an RSS feed. So if you have a podcast, or if you want to get a transcription from a podcast that you listen to, this is an easy way to do that. And it will basically give you the whole text of that conversation, which you can repurpose them for a content as a blog post or an article or who knows what else. Other AI extensions that are worth mentioning, as I said, you have the YouTube summary, you have summary with a ChatGPT attached to it. Merlin is another AI extension that what it does is delivers ChatGPT power results in Google searches, but it can also summarize a lot of the things that you can find on YouTube with text format. It's just within seconds. And again, a lot of those tools might seem like they do the same thing, but you're going to have to figure out which one does the most for what it is, so that you don't end up with like 1,000 millions of plugins, where you just use maybe 5 that do everything that you need to do for you. So maybe you need, cover letters, maybe you need job descriptions, maybe you need interview things, which again, Pace AI actually is really good at creating a strategy behind your interviews if you're hiring people. Then you have Magnum, which is a productivity or workspace extension, which has a lot of features as well and embeds into the Google Task and Calendar. We might not have the URL links for those, but if you get in touch with me, I can send you a list of all of those separately, or just take a screenshot. That's probably a good idea. And then you can just do a little bit of research for yourself and see if this is something that might work for you. If you're a tweeter, TweetGPT is super helpful to just reply to tweets and create content that reduces your time spending on crafting just that perfect tweet. And now you can use that time to build your business. Copy leaks, which is something that's going to become more and more important as we move into this era of AI. If you care about making the difference between if this content was human generated versus AI generated, that gives you the ability to actually detect. And then the new tab with ChatGPT, that's another, way of embedding ChatGPT into your browser. I actually have that, and now ChatGPT replies to my emails like a chat box. And going back to that one question that somebody had, this could also be that tool for your chat box that you can use to generate specific answers for your business. And again, I will play with that just to customize it to your very specific need. And other tools worth trying out, that is something that I would take a screenshot as well. For example, what's super cool is, which one did I use? Use Motion, Midjourney, obviously, Adobe Podcast. There's a few of those, and let me tell you, this is just what came out this week. This list changes every week. So if you think you're on top of it today, wait until tomorrow, and then you're not. So you have to be consistently tapped into what's happening. On Twitter, I have a few AI accounts that I follow, and one of them is 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗀, and that is, let me put that into chat. If you're curious to learn more and stay on top of what is new in the AI world, I would definitely follow this account. And I think I wrote it correctly. Okay, so I'm only barely going to touch on Canva Magic. First off, let me preface with the fact that all of the slides that you saw as in images, not the content, because the content I actually created myself as in the words, but all of the images have been actually produced by Canva Magic, by this magic design assistant that now you can use. I believe it's available both in the free and the paid versions of Canva. If I'm wrong, I apologize. I only use Canva pages because of the amount of content that I create. But here there is, Tia, if you can put into the chat, there's one example prompt that you can actually use. If you don't use any AI tools, only Canva, you can actually still use this to specifically create beautiful visuals to support your business or your product and service, and use Magic Design, Magic Write, and text to image, which a lot of those images that you also saw, the AI images that were related to the presentation, were all based on this tool, text to image. So I would just prompt it, give me, an AI, whatever, this or AI that, and it just produce all these images that I use in the presentation. It really helps speed up the content creation. For me personally, a lot of the presentations that I create are really sped up these days because I get to really dive into this Canva Assistant AI tool that Canva introduced a couple of months ago, but again, by now I feel like it's already old news. All right, and in other news, Meta just came up with new AI tools, and why do we care about that is because the fact that somebody like Meta would invest over $5 billion by just dipping their toes into AI shows that we are indeed on the right track, aiming to stay ahead of the curve, and we should pay attention to those things. LinkedIn also came up with a new AI for ad copies. And why does that matter? Is because it will save you time and allows you to focus on other tasks like campaign planning and brand building by making sure that your ads also, are very targeted. Google AI came up with some new development in healthcare. They partnered with Mayo Clinic to test their new service called Enterprise Search on generative AI app builder. And that can really create those customized chatbots that can be used in virtual healthcare and a lot of other applications. And one thing that, is important to note here, especially if you're a business that is involved in healthcare, this really brings the point that you need to look at what tools are available and adapt and integrate AI to improve your service and your efficiency of delivery, because this will help you stand out just because it's already happening. Then there's the Bing new voice search on desktop. This is a Microsoft integrating Bing's voice as an activated chatbot feature into its Edge desktop browser. And if you know, this has been a very much available on the iPhone, right? Like Siri. And this is new, however, for web browsers, for desktops. So maybe it's just a way of looking how, things progress and how Apple Siri maybe needs an upgrade. And maybe AI is that upgrade. And then a fun fact that just came out actually today, this morning, was that Sir Paul McCartney, part of the obviously famous band, the Beatles, they just announced the release of their final Beatles recording this year. There is no particular date yet, but all of it made possible through AI. And the technology was used to isolate and enhance John Lennon's voice from an old demo, allowing the composition of a song that has been unfinished for decades. This technique has been used before. Initially, if you remember, I think there was a documentary called Get Back where AI was deployed to separate the Beatles' voices from the background noise. Why should we care about this? It's just this remarkable way of using AI creatively in the in our, maybe if you're in the creative industry, or maybe even potentially transform the way the content is generated, edited, and then promoted. So if you can maybe bring back the voice of a past spokesperson or an iconic personality and maybe associated with a specific brand and create new content with that, just imagine the ad campaigns applications that could be done with that. And with that, oh my gosh, I felt like I spoke for years. Thank you so much for spending all this time with me, and we're going to make this recording available to you, especially since obviously time is of essence, and you might need to go back and do some of those exercises and example yourself on your own timing. I hope that you found it informative. I hope that you found it insightful. Again, I feel like we're just touching the tip of the iceberg with a lot of those tools, and it would take me many more hours to dive deep into all of the things that I just talked today, let alone the things that are coming up as we speak. So stay connected with me by scanning the QR code, especially if you want some of those examples and prompts that we gave. I will generate a Word document or a PDF, and I can send that to you. And now I'm just gonna open the floor to you, any of you that if you have questions, please either put them in the chat or maybe raise your hand and come on camera. Again, there is no silly questions. It's all part of the learning process. So I am going to pass the mic to you. And the prompt is ask your questions in the chat or raise your hand and turn on your camera so we can see you. And I am going to take a break from talking now because I feel like my voice is gone. I think we lost Thea. Did you make it back?
I'm here. Yes, that was so good. We will send out a recording, and I have pulled up all those links because just hearing Anca share, I'm like, well, looks like I have some extensions to add into my life, both personally and professionally, right? I did throw in the chat to the new Apple Vision Pro,
Yes.
just because I don't think we can talk about AI without talking about technology too.
I mean,
And
this just came out too as well,
like
right?
last
So, oh
this
my gosh.
last week, yeah. But just knowing everything you've been shown, and then also, just watch this Apple Vision Pro, go to that page, check it out. Like, this is the future that you'll all be working within, and the next couple years. And if this is the future today, what's the future in 10 years? And so we've got a lot to learn and do. And Anka's an expert at this stuff. We have Patty Alonso in here too. She's tech solutions. Like, there's so many facets to this technology. And Anca, I have to ask you, do you have a newsletter? Like, is there something we can do to follow you so we can know every day about the latest and greatest AI?
Right, like now that I have ChatGPT, maybe you should make it easier for me to add just one more task to my very long to-do list.
I love it.
I would probably integrate some of this in my newsletter. You can sign up on my website, and I'll go back to that quick QR code. That's my website. So I send out a monthly newsletter, and I know that's not truly enough especially when it comes to how fast the technology is evolving. But I just don't like to bother people with a gazillion newsletters because I don't like to be bothered myself either. So like, don't do unto others what you don't like to be done unto yourself, I guess. But I will integrate for sure the recording of this and take the bullet points and create a PDF of some sort that has very concise links, so that if you want to go back on any of this content that we talked about, you are free to do so on your own timing. But again, staying on top of AI technology is almost like a full-time job at this point, because things are coming up so fast and with such a speed, and it can seem overwhelming, right? It's like you're already thinking, I already have a million of things to keep track of. Like, do I really need to keep track of this? Okay, maybe not, but I would take those tools that I share with you today and start using those, because I know that they work for me and I wouldn't share them with you if they didn't. And maybe that will give you the opportunity to just dive a little bit into this new world and then explore from there. It's almost like when you start swimming, nobody's going to throw you straight up into the ocean, right? Like, you maybe start with a little tiny pond that you can, figure out your skills level, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, start diving in a little bit with your toes and then go up to your knees and then see if that's for you. And if the water is too cold and you want to get out, that's up to you as well.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for all of the ones that actually stayed all the way till the end. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that we were here for like almost like an hour and 45 minutes. This is ridiculous for how long this went. Apologies for going a little bit over time. I do see somebody raising their hand. Was it their hand or was it clap? I'm not quite sure.
Clapping.
It was a clap. Okay, I'll take it. Thank you. But do feel free to connect with me. Seriously, if you have questions, if you just want tips on how you can use something specific for your business, I am more than open to give you my best thought on whatever it is that you might have a question about. And then if you don't like it, you just take it or you discard it. Again, I'm learning to not take anything, especially when it comes to saying no, personally anymore. So ChatGPT can do that for me. So
Thank you. Thank you. All right. We'll see you all next time, and keep eyes and ears for a recording and some tools. Those will come at some point soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.